How's it in Jersey this morning?
Hot.
Good.
90.
Oh, that's nice.
It'll be 94, I think, Saturday and Sunday.
Oh, no kidding. Wow. Good for you, I guess.
Guys,
right.
you're painting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm out here in the desert, so it's hot every day.
You're used to it.
I'm getting used to it. Not quite used to it yet. It's just all of a sudden around noon, it just punches you right in the face.
Yeah. Did you come back with your dad when he came back?
To
Back here to Medford?
Yeah, I was out there for about a month during Christmas.
Okay.
But yeah, and then I visited a couple of weeks ago before coming out here.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, you ready to get started?
Yeah. What are you doing? Are you just taping this? Are you?
I was recording it. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So Bob Hound, Mad Dog, Scourge of the Red Army. Are you familiar with all these nicknames?
Yeah.
Yeah. They make sense.
Yeah. Well, the Mad Dog only lasted for 2 years. We had to change that because we're doing more stuff in the community, more stuff with kids, and means you might have your distemper shot. So anyways, we changed it to Hound, and that's how a little bit more mellow. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Are you familiar with this one though? Grass Fairy?
I have no idea where that came from or what it's supposed to mean, but that definitely is not me.
It really was the outlier when you see the other ones.
I have no idea. You know how the media is. They grab stuff from wherever, who the hell knows, but no, it wasn't.
And if anyone's ever seen you play, Hound makes sense. You were as tenacious of a player as I've ever seen. Was that something that you just developed yourself, or was like, did a coach once tell you, Bob Kelly, your strength is that you go from A to B and don't let anybody get in your way?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's the way I kind of approach everything. You know, your dad's the same way. Like, you know, he's driven, determined. You're an individual motivator, and when you're playing in the lower ranks, coming up through junior and that, I mean, you want to get noticed. If you want to get noticed, you got to stand out some way, shape, or form. And my best asset was probably that stirring up trouble and getting in trouble.
So you're the second Oshawa general, former Oshawa general that I've talked to in the past couple of days. His experience, I think, was a little bit different than yours. What when you were coming up in Eric Lindros?
Oh, Big E.
Yeah, Big E. Yeah,
I was going to talk about Terry O'Reilly because and I played in the same line together. Tim Boulder was my centerman from Chicago.
You and O'Reilly on the same line sounds bullish.
Used to call it the helicopter line. We just kept going in circles.
But it seemed like in juniors back then, scoring was good, but physicality was kind of what a lot of players emphasized to get noticed by the NHL. It
was. Billy Barber came from the Kitchener Rangers, was a tough team. Montreal had some good fighters there. Moose was there. Gogo Globinski had some battles with him. They, you know, every team had some guys that could throw them pretty good, and you know, it's just part of the DNA. I mean, that's what the NHL was looking for. You had the St. Louis Blues, the Boston Bruins. They were all playing big, rough, physical games. Montreal had a big, you know, with Bouchard there, and I mean, they had some huge guys on their team too. So you knew you're in for a battle. That's what was waiting for you. That's
what's kind of interesting about the legacy of the Broad Street Bullies is that, you know, if you watch the HBO documentary, the game is just full of grace, nothing but Guy Lafleur types, right? Just the purity and the skill of the game. And then along come these brutes who have a modicum of talent, but mostly just want to, you know, punch you in the face. But that wasn't really the case. Like you mentioned, all the teams were really physical, and you guys just kind of met like with like.
Yeah, we used to thank Boston for our jobs, Boston and St. Louis. It wasn't for those guys, because back in '67, when the Flyers first made the playoffs there, that Noel Picard there, he broke what was it, Gendron's jaw or one of the guys' jaws there, and that's what started. And Snyder said, "That's it. You got to change the complexity of this team here. We got to get some strength and size," and that's why they drafted Schulte, the Bird. You know, you need tenacious guys like your dad. You know, you need the third and fourth liners that can go out there and play and change the tempo of the game. And if intimidation was part of it, you know, as things went on, you know, every team tried to get somebody, but, you know, we kept acquiring guys like Ben Wilson and, you know, Homer and stuff like that. I mean, we've always had a good supply of real tough guys.
Was that clear right away that this was the Flyer style of hockey?
Yeah. And you could tell by the main Mariners, you got Brownie and Stanley down there and those guys. I mean, they always had a full complement. They were fun guys to watch. Al Hill, when they brought him up, because they were trying to make their mark too, to stick with us up here.
Yeah. And talk about the moment you found out you were going to wear the Flyers emblem. It seems like everyone has a very peculiar, interesting story as to how they found out.
Well, it didn't have the fanfare that you get today. I got a phone call. This is Keith Allen from the Flyers. We drafted. Okay, that's nice. We'll be in touch with you, and we'll let you know. We'll be in touch with you and let you know training camps in Quebec City. Well, at that point in time, the 401 wasn't in yet up here in Toronto. And also, I'd never been on an airplane before. So, I was on an old Viscount flying down there because jets were just being invented. So, I mean, that's showing my age, but that's part. So I get on the plane, I go down there, and I played one game in the American Hockey League. It was a home and home with Montreal. So we played Saturday night on the road against Montreal. So I watched the Voyageurs. They were playing there, and then we played the next night. And on the way back to Quebec City, because it was a home and home, I get a call from Vic Stazak. He says, "You're going to dress and play tonight." So, Christ, now I'm on it. I just finished watching Henry Richard and Coinvoyer and all those guys play, and now I'm on the ice with them at home, and I survived all right. Got through that one on Sunday night, and then Tuesday night we're playing the Detroit Red Wings, and in comes Gordie Howe and Delvecchio, Gadsby, all the original 6 guys there. So lined up beside Gordie Howe, but I said, I guess this is not a good time to get an autograph from him. I kind of always wanted it.
How do you get over that awe? How do you, that's, players you grew up idolizing are now
As soon as the puck drops, you change. I mean, you're very respectful though. I mean, you know where you're going. So I survived that one. And then I get Thursday night, we play the Boston Bruins, just won the Stanley Cup. So in comes Orr, Hodge, Cashman, all the team, McKenzie, all the guys they've got there. Survived that one. So then training camp winds down in Quebec City. And he says, okay, now we're going to Hershey. And I go, like, where the hell's Hershey? We didn't have road maps. I've only been to Buffalo, just around the Lakehead, because I'd never been, I don't know where Hershey, Pennsylvania was. I'm a 19-year-old kid, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
So anyways, I followed, Doug Favell was from St. Catharines, so I followed him down to Hershey, spent a week down there, got into some good scraps and some exhibition games and that. And they said, hey, kid, you're coming to Philadelphia. I said, okay, how do you get to Philadelphia? Sounds stupid now, but that's just the way the world was back then.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine that. It's hard to, it is weird to even like flash back 20 years. How did we exist without what we have now? How did friends ever meet up at a certain location at a certain time? How was that coordinated?
We didn't have, not like we had cell phones or anything.
No.
You certainly can't talk to anybody.
Yeah, if you called someone and they weren't home, you just couldn't reach them.
That rotary phone does everything.
Yeah. So talk about a transition. All of a sudden you're in Philadelphia, this, huge city, and you were probably lucky that you had this hockey career to focus on. Because I would imagine me as a 19-year-old Canadian boy getting thrust into the madness that was Philadelphia at the time would have been overwhelming.
So anyways, I think most of us are all in the same boat. I mean, the older guys help direct us a little bit and do that, and you hang out, and then we kind of all lived just in apartments. You brought down whatever you needed, your clothes and stuff, and just started to exist. Nobody knew it was going to turn into 10 years. So it was a good run. Yeah.
And let's get into the run a little bit. You almost immediately find success, and you're catapulted now to Bob the Hound Kelly. I mean, the Hound is as recognizable of a Flyers nickname as any to exist in the history of the franchise. What was it like now you leave and people recognize you, obviously, when it says Kelly on the back of your jersey, but now they recognize you when you're not wearing it?
I think because we embedded ourselves so much in the community, we were out there, we were playing softball games in the summer, everybody played. I mean, we had the golf outings, everybody played. We used to go and play in a lot of different outings, one for ourselves, which we still continue to do today, and one for you just out there helping out different charities and causes, lending your name out there, and they raffle you off and stuff like that. So it's a really easy fix when it's the city of brotherly love.
Yeah. Maybe my favorite nickname of anything ever is Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love.
Yeah.
And you mentioned, who would have thought that it turned into a 10-year run with the Flyers? Just extraordinary. I know you eventually moved on to the Caps, but the team has to break up at some point. Those goodbyes must be hard. Who is it hard to see all of a sudden in a different uniform for you?
I think because everybody understands the nature of the business, and they're not necessarily trading you to. They're trading you to better the team and what's right for the team.
Mm-hmm.
So your individual contributions are just, maybe he's aged up a little bit. I mean, I didn't get hurt too much, which was really good. So maybe that had something to do with the longevity. But you got to be good in the locker room too. You can't be a jerk. Flyers really pride themselves in your temperament and your demeanor and how you play and what you should play to. And you got to get along with the teammates. You need your teammates. I mean, without them, you're nothing. One person doesn't win anything for you. And some goaltender all the way out. So we just had guys with great personalities, all had the same goal. And it's only one goal when you're playing, it's to win the Stanley Cup.
So, a friend would leave and a friend would come in. Is that kind of what you're saying? It was.
Yeah.
But, seeing one of my first guests here was Schultze, Dave Schultz, and he fought my dad. I just can't get over this. It's hysterical. Not once, but twice while they were in, neither was on the Flyers at the time. My dad was a Penguin. He was Schultze was a King. That's very strange to me because they're great friends, always remain great friends, but still drop the gloves against each other. What was it like playing against, not just teammates, but part of the legendary Broad Street Bullies team?
Well, it was funny because Schultze come back, like you said, as a Los Angeles King, and he came back, got a nice stand. His first time in, back and as a King, gets a nice standing ovation. People love him, stuff like that as usual. And then he's out there running around like an idiot. So I got the tap on the shoulder. So I go out and I line up beside him in the face-off. I said, "Look, if you don't knock the shit off, we're going to find out who's tougher, me or you." And he just kind of looked at me. I said, "The team, you did so much for the city for great. Now you're out here looking like a jerk." So he settled down. Thank God I didn't have to find out how tough he was.
He talked about that game being the toughest game of his career, that it was really tough for him to come back in a different uniform and play against you guys. He really felt like he had something to prove.
Yeah. And again, Ben Wilson came along and, he ended up fighting Ben, later on and stuff like that. Homer came in. Homer kind of thought displaced, Schultze out of there type thing. But,
yeah,
you move on and Davey was excellent with what he did. I mean, you don't get 462 minutes in penalties, without working hard for them. So, so he went on his way, but he was such a fixture in the, in the Philadelphia area and all that stuff. He was good with kids, good and stuff like that. So, I mean, those are guys you hate to see go. Your dad was another guy you hate to see go. And then, Grace, what's he do? He follows me to Washington for crying out loud.
Right. Tell me about the moment the cup was actually placed in your hands.
Well, I didn't play in the finals. I warmed up in the finals. There's like a 3-second clip of me skating around in warm up, but I didn't want to jeopardize the team. It was game 6. If we had to go to game 7, I probably would have. But so I didn't get the cup until it came back in, back into the locker room. So it was, I was out on the ice congratulating everybody, but I didn't want to slip and fall or anything like that.
Yeah.
So,
but you're holding it.
There were so many people on the ice. It was crazy. I mean, but nobody knew what would happen. They opened up the end gates there where the Zamboni comes out. People, they just flooded out on the ice. It was crazy. Yeah. Crazy. Great time though. Everybody had a blast.
Seems like it.
Yeah. Come up to you now and say, I slipped the guy in the door $5. He let me in. So
and it's funny, it's one of those events too, kind of like Woodstock. Maybe there were a few thousand people on the ice, but somehow now 250,000 people have the story of the time they were in the ice with the Flyers after they won the cup.
Yeah, when Prism first came, that was the only cable TV, in the city of Philadelphia, but it was only on one side of Broad Street. So at nighttime, they used to go over and pirate, Prism from one side of the road and run wires down, and then it would branch out into different houses and stuff until they got used, and then they'd come and shoot a hole in the box or something like that. So people got such great stories where they had to go to a mountain, up on top of a mountain, so they could listen on the radio, for the games and stuff like that. So people have some great stories to tell here.
Yeah, but there truly were millions at the parade.
There was.
Tell me about your experience with that day, because as always, there's a hysterical Bernie Perrant story to go along with it, where the parade, as legend has it, had to be stopped for a second because Bernie had to use the bathroom, because of course he did.
Yeah, he just went into a person's house, used the bathroom. I think the guy took the seat off and then sold it later on or something like that.
Of course.
It was just crazy. But again, like when we had the Big Eagle one here, they had barriers out there all the way up Broad Street, so the guys could get out, stretch, walk around. But nobody knew what to expect. They didn't know what the turnout would be, and they were in between the cars or walking right alongside our cars. We were sitting out of the moonroofs. Thank God we didn't get killed, but they're ripping like your shirt and trying to, oh, yeah, it's crazy. They tried to use horses for a little bit of crowd control, but it really didn't work. And then the second year they put us up on a flatbed. So
yes, a little more of a barrier.
Yeah.
What was in your mind at the time? Was it just pure exhilaration? Was it like almost being on a different planet? Like, how is it possible that I'm here with literally the entire city of Philadelphia around me?
Yeah, I mean, it's when you look back at the footage and stuff like that, you don't realize how winning the Stanley Cup changed the franchise, changed the image of Philadelphia, and there was no disturbance, there was no looting, no breaking cars, nobody got hurt, no fist fights and stuff like that. I mean, the whole city really came together. The support was unbelievable, and then you just keep thriving off of that. You did something good for the city, you brought it together. The Eagles do that. Obviously the Phillies did that.
Mm-hmm.
You got so many fans here in that area that it's just wonderful when you can see everybody joyous the way they are.
Tell me about your transition from the game to something else, to your post career. When did you start thinking about, all right, what's the next chapter of my life going to be?
Well, that was after I told Washington to shove the organization up their butt, and I left.
Why did you tell them that?
Well, when I went down there, we had a good team. I mean, there was Mike.
You had your second to last season was your career season. I mean, at least statistics wise.
Correct. I played with Pee Wee and Prony, but we had Mike Gartner was on there, and Ryan Walter was on there. I mean, we had some good horses, some big studs back there. Pierre Bouchard was back in D. But unfortunately, Washington didn't make my last year. We beat them out, so they didn't get the playoffs, but they started screwing around. So we gave it to them. And now I got to walk into the locker room after beating them out. So they didn't make the playoffs. We put them out. And under Max McNabb and Gary Green, we didn't make the playoffs my first year down in Washington. So they fired those guys. They brought in Brian Murray, who's not my favorite by any stretch. They brought in Roger Crozier with him, who I scored the winning goal against in Buffalo. So that wasn't going to fly. And anyway, he really didn't want anything to do with the old guys. And he always threatened, I'll send you to Hershey, send you to Hershey. I said, I go to Hershey. So up until I left there December the 19th, and at that point, I think I had only played 12 or 14 games, for Washington my second year. And I did have a good point. I still had 15 fights that year. I still had, played and good guys to play with. And, we go into some of the buildings and all of a sudden, some of the guys, oh, I got a bad shoulder. I can't play. Oh, my groin's not good. I can't play. But they were scared to play in the buildings. They're going to Boston. I mean, you better be ready to whatever's coming at you. So anyways, he just treated us like crap. You didn't travel with the team or anything. So I know your dad left too because of his back.
Yes.
There. And Pierre Bouchard left. And I just went in and I said, I had enough of your organization. You guys suck. And I told him what I really feel in different words than that. And I came back home. So I talked to Pulley in Chicago. And he said, I got a full squad. I'll take you, but you got to go to St. John's. And I said, I'm not going to St. John's. I'm not playing in the American Hockey League. So then I talked to Sinden in Boston. He said, I'll take you. We just made a youth movement with Buffalo, 5 guys. I can't use you. So I go back to Keith Allen. I said, Keith, but this was Pat Quinn's second run at it. And we had the Sutters in here, and you had all the young guys coming in. You had Proppy coming in and Booley and stuff like that. So I said, hey, Keith, I got a great deal for you. I said, I'll come back and play. Not going to cost you a dime. I don't need a paycheck. I just come back and play. And I said, and that way maybe I can catch on to another team. But I said, I'm not going to the minors. Never played in the minors. Have no interest in going to the minors. So I said, by the way, if you do bring me back, I just want to play one game, and that's against Washington. I'm going to go over and cut Brian Murray's head off with my stick. So
Was there bad blood between you and Brian prior to that? I
No.
mean, it sounds like no. Okay.
No,
So it was
I like
just sort
Terry.
of
Terry Murray's a great guy.
yeah.
So no question there. So that's kind of how I left. And, 6 months later, I had a good lawyer, good accountant, and I ended up about a liquor store in Deptford. So I had that for like 11 years. And I did 3 inline roller hockey rinks. I did a indoor park. I bought one of Mr. Snyder's showcase franchises. I had in the Echelon Mall there.
Yep.
Oh, you remember that, don't you?
Of course I remember that. Of course we have to get to that. So we're talking South Jersey stuff. Echelon Mall is in a town called Voorhees, and this was when malls were the ultimate hangouts for ne'er-do-well teenagers, as like myself. But I went from just a mall rat to a mall employee, thanks to you. And Showcase was a sports apparel store.
Correct.
Yeah, and I have a lot of memories. A lot of memories. That was my first job. I was 14. I was borderline prepubescent. Like I was short for sure compared to what I am. I'm a hefty 6'4" now. I was maybe like 5'6", 5'7".
You can reach the top shelf.
Barely. Yeah. Was a bit shy and still had the thick glasses on. And yeah, I still have a picture of myself the first day that I went to work. So there I go, and I'm working, and suddenly I'm supposed to be selling to adults and teenagers under your tutelage in the Echelon Mall. And I think sometimes I look back on past jobs. Like I worked at a seafood store for 2 years, and I'm like, I have no idea what value I provided to them whatsoever. I still don't know how to properly like slice salmon. And for the first couple of months there, I kept thinking like, I don't know what value I'm bringing to this store at all, because I didn't know how to sell. If someone came in and said, okay, I'm looking for a Flyers hat, I could show you where it was. But if someone came in and needed to go from a no to a yes, I wasn't your guy.
Yeah, but you may have been a little bit shy, but to us looking at you, you weren't shy. I mean, you approach them when they came in,
Mm-hmm.
help you. Can I direct you? That's the first step of making a sale. And then they're asking for your advice, and your advice for what kids would wear, which team you want, and stuff like that is going to be a lot better than my decision. What I think about now isn't what the young kids think about. So
Right.
you get assets there, and being a Canadian, you were on time all the time. So that was,
of course. And here's something. So there was a manager, and his name was Greg. I don't want to say his last name was like Pasquarelli or something. It was a very Philly name. He was a very Philly guy. And so there was this girl that worked at a jewelry kiosk right across, like you could see it from the exit to Showcase. And she was real cute. And I was 14. And I remember one time Greg told me, she cannot stop talking about you. She's really into you. And that was not the case. She was probably like 19, 20. Like I mentioned, I was prepubescent. So on Greg's lies, I actually went and asked her if she wanted to go have lunch in the food court. And she's like, I don't know who you are. And then I look back to Showcase, and Greg is just on the floor laughing.
we're pranked.
Yeah.
Oh, see, you got a good memory, long lasting memory.
I have a lot of good memories. There, and I think that it instilled a good work ethic. And then it became, it did become like an interesting challenge. Can I get people to leave within an extra shirt, or can I sell them a starter jacket, which I remember was like the prize if you get someone to buy either that or a personalized jersey. Yeah, it was a very fulfilling first job.
Yeah. Well, we also were a second day Ticketmaster sales, so we could
Yes.
concert, but not until the second day. We weren't the hot spot going out of there. And it's good to be personable, and look where you are now. You got a great personality, you got a good education, you have great tools to work with. So
it all started there.
Nice to have had you there.
Yeah.
Andy Clark worked there for me for a little while too.
She did.
Was either before you or
that was after.
Just after you.
I think it was after, yeah.
She said, Hound, I just got to get out of the house. I got to have something to do. I said, oh, come on in. She said, you don't have to pay me. I said, no, if you're going to work, I'm going to pay you. So everybody does that. But she was good. She was fun.
Yeah. And now you're describe your position. You're back with the Flyers or the Flyers alumni organization, which
I've been here.
I think it's just not comparable. As I'm trying to just reach out to different alumni orgs to talk to different players, there's nothing like the Flyers alumni.
Well, we've been down through the grind, and we've been out of it a long time. Some of the guys that like Lindros hasn't been out that long. I'm sure he's come to grips with everything that surrounded him for his career, and like you don't realize you're just getting ready to start something, all the turmoil to get started, and then boom, career's over. I mean,
yeah.
A lot of guys, and some guys aren't comfortable with it. I mean, I had to find something to do. I didn't know what I was going to do. I just knew I wasn't coming back to Canada. So I went that route, and that's since 2003 is when I joined the Flyers. Mr. Snyder at that point in time, they owned the Sixers as well. So they hired a guy that retired there, World Be Free, and he does all the Sixer stuff like what we do. And then they put the team together. They had hip hop there, the Bunny Rabbit. And anyways, he called. He says, "We're going to open up a position like World Be Free does for the Sixers. So come and interview." So I went and interviewed with him, and he hired me, and I've been there since. So great company to work for. He's still around the Flyers, but my involvement's all in the community. Like I'm still going out doing the learn to play on ice hockey. With the guys, we do all the caravans and stuff like that. And then we just launched through initiatives through the National Hockey League. We just launched ball hockey. It's already been going on, but we've come in to put our stamp on it. And now we have kids learning how to play ball hockey, figuring, hey, we teach you guys at 4 years old how to run and how to play and put a stick in your hand. Then we'll get you up into, if you want to go rollerblades or to learn to play, it's all free equipment we give you. Yeah. So kind of building the base, getting more people back doing it, because back in our day, when we grew up, we didn't have a lot of choices and options that you have. And, the amount of sports that kids can play today, it's unbelievable. And playing hockey, it's not cheap once you get rolling. But you know what? If you can play and skate and you love it, why not embrace it, enjoy it, and, see how far you can go.
That's something that, the NHL has always had a tough time with is when you're able to play a game in some aspect, you feel a deeper connection with it. And, with a basketball, you just need a hoop and a ball. A baseball, very little equipment. You can just go to the sandlot or whatever. With hockey, it gets a little more difficult. So I would applaud you, because that's the way you're going to reach this new generation of fans. If they understand what offsides is before, they're 8 years old, and if they've had a stick in their hand before they start going to games, they're going to feel a deeper connection with what's happening on the ice.
Well, Marshy and Rob and I fanned out to 3 different ball hockey rinks last weekend. And it's funny because you get the kids standing there, and like you said, you never stand. You're stopped waiting for a drill to start, but that's when you should be like stick handing back and forth with the ball and playing with. If you stand there, you just don't stand there with a basketball in your hand. You're always dribbling, playing. Mm-hmm. And the kids are standing. It's almost like they don't know what to kind of do with it. So you got to lean into it. You got to teach them. So it's the fun part. You get a reward. Brings me back to my childhood. Yeah.
No, and it's great to see young kids play hockey. How are you enjoying the game these days?
If we're winning, great.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously it was a tough season to watch. I mean, one of the toughest in recent memory.
Yeah, it was tough. The result, losing Carter Hart was the first big step in there, and then a couple of guys got hurt, undisclosed injuries until it's over with.
Yeah.
I think that the tempo was off, the pace was off. I think the bubble was better for them because they were all the teams are there. They're all cocooned. They did their stuff. And you had a time frame in there. And now they're playing 7 games in 12 days, and there's no rest time. There's no practice time. You're still traveling, but you're not traveling as much. So I think that was a heavier burden on them. And then when then you shut down. Look at the Jersey Devils. They have 18 guys all had COVID, and then now they got to cram all their games in, and you're playing, craziness, and your body's not having the time to recapture, rebuild.
It's a weird season. You still had regular season games while the playoffs had already started.
Yeah.
Very, very strange.
Yeah. So.
Can you give me a good dad story of my dad, or Kindrachuk, that maybe I haven't heard? He's certainly told me quite a few of his own, but it seems like there's a lot that either he doesn't want known about, or doesn't remember, or is just waiting for someone else to tell instead of him.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of stories about your dad, because of the way we used to travel. I would drive down and pick him up and drive to the game, and then Lynn would pick up my wife and go to the game, and it'd be like 10 degrees, 15 degrees outside, which is not bad for you Western Canadian boys, a little bit of weather like that.
Mhm.
I'd pick them up, but I'd have the air conditioning on and inside the car. The Corvette was a little chilly, and Jesus Christ, he comes with earmuffs on. He's got scarves wrapped around his neck. I said, "What the hell are you dressed for?" So anyway, but he wouldn't have been captain in Pittsburgh if he didn't have a lot of great qualities and traits. And he, every day, he practiced hard, he played hard, he always worked hard on taking face-offs. He's in your grill all the time. And he's a true competitor, a true athlete. And, he made our team better. And, unfortunately, he had Howdy Doody on one side of him and the Big Bird on the other side. The Sesame Street line.
Sesame Street line, yes.
He relished that, and
we got a picture of them right here. Yeah, there they are. So yesterday, and this was based on your recommend, I talked to Steve Coates, who is never actually a Philadelphia Flyer, but is as entrenched with the Flyers organization as just about anybody.
He's a Maine Mariner.
Maine Mariner, yep.
Mariner.
But you were telling me the story of his breakaway. He was briefly with the Red Wings. Did manage to score one goal, but had another breakaway opportunity. And he tried to tell the coach he was not able to play that night, but the coach just absolutely bullied him into it. He had a groin issue, so the puck. This is the way he describes it. The puck popped out of the Red Wing zone to neutral ice. He's there by himself. And just past the red line, his groin pops. So in what must have been one of the most confusing plays ever for a fan, he just fired it into the corner on a breakaway.
Only Coatsy. Well, we grew up playing against each other. He played for Markham, which was on the east end of Toronto, and I played for York Steel. But we're both junior B teams that fed the Toronto Marlies. And he used to start shit out on the ice there and then he'd go hide behind Dan Maloney all the time. And anybody who's listening, hopefully they don't remember who Dan was. So he passed away.
Yeah.
He's a big boy.
A good guy to hide behind.
Yeah.
See, Steve's not.
That's why we got Brownie and Stanley.
Right. All right. When you close your eyes and think about your career, is there one image that just flashes as like, all right, this was when I felt like how great it is to have the privilege of playing in the NHL?
Well, you realize when there's only 12 teams and you get selected, it used to be, I think the percentage used to be like 97, 98% Canadians. You used like 1% American, another percent for Europeans. I mean, they didn't draft out of colleges. They didn't take U.S. kids, so maybe they didn't have as much to shoot for. And basically, we didn't have much. We grew up the way we did, and you get an opportunity to go. It's like a dream come true, but you never really wish the dream because you never think that it would ever happen to you. So it's been fulfilling, and I guess the best thing to do is I enjoy my job because I enjoy giving back. So I enjoy going out to all the different sports. And watching the kids play and get a scholarship out of it, because the way the game is today, by 28 years old, you're old. Get rid of you. You're banged up a little bit. You're coming in the league at 18, 19 years old now, but the game is different. Physicality, it's all speed and strength and skill. So ours was a little bit more less skill and grind things out. So, but if you can get a scholarship, you break a leg, you're done playing hockey. But at least if you break a leg, you still go to school, you still have a scholarship. You know what I mean? There are chances for you, but it's a lot harder to get. And think about it now, we got 32 teams now?
Yeah.
In the National Hockey. So look at all the jobs.
Lots of Europeans.
A lot of jobs for people.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Bob Kelly, the Grass Fairy.
Don't be spreading that around.
I figured there's just no way this is actually a
No.
nickname anyone ever called him.
No.
Thanks for coming on this morning on My Dad Used to Play Hockey. I appreciate it. It's always great to see you, man.
Zach, great talking to you. Keep up the great work up there, and I'll bust on your dad a little bit.
Please do. I'll see you, buddy.
All right, take care. Thank you.
See ya.